Hi there! I am so excited for you to listen to this story today. It's our very first chapter book and it's about a boy who really wants a dog. And make sure you have on your listening ears and you write down any questions that come up that you want to ask the author, because we have a show called Kids Ask, Authors Answer. And that's where you get to listen or read the book and then you send in questions for the author and the author is going to answer them for you. It's going to be so much fun. So I hope you enjoy the story.
JJ and Frijolito, written by Victoria Cepeda and narrated by Sam Howard-Els.
Chapter 1, About a Boy. He opens his eyes, turns on his smartphone camera and starts recording. Last night I dreamed about him again, JJ says. He's got black and white fur, super cool. I'll talk more about this later. Standing at 5'6" and weighing 150 pounds, which is equivalent to 1.67 metres in height, and 68 kilograms in weight, 11-year-old Julian Jacob could be mistaken for a preteen. He has always been a strong and sturdy kid. At birth, he weighed 10 pounds and 3 ounces. He looked like the older sibling of all the other newborns in the maternity ward. He has always been this way and has looked this way. I don't like Mondays, he continues, recording for his YouTube channel. I always set my alarm for 6 a.m. Why? Simple. To have more playtime and watch my favourite videos before going to school. JJ approaches the open door of his parents' room. He walks to his mum's side of the bed. Good morning, Mum. Hug? Turn off that camera, JJ. His dad is already awake, but JJ won't greet him until later when he gets up. That's the routine. The order rarely changes. At 6:30 a.m, Mum gets up to make me breakfast, JJ says as he switches to the front camera of his phone. Why don't I do it myself? Because I'm too young to touch the stove. JJ rolls his eyes. Plus, Mum heats up the milk better than I do. JJ finishes recording, says goodbye to the audience and posts the video on his social media. I love you, Mum, JJ says spontaneously. I love you more. In fact, I loved you first, Mrs. V replies. Nah, never. I love you more, JJ insists. This is a typical and frequent exchange between mother and son throughout the day. It is usually followed by what they call dribbling jokes. First, JJ would say something like, I'm under here, Mum. Mrs. V, his mother, would then ask, underwear? Then the jump shot came. Underwear, gotcha, get it? Underwear, JJ giggles. What did the time machine say to the person? It is about time. It usually goes on with a one more plea from JJ. Okay, his mum gives in. What do you call banana peels under your feet? What? Slippers, he giggles. The hugging, back scratching, wrestling and tickling fights follow through like bread and butter in the morning. Perfect and exact, the kissing and the hugging took place like clockwork, every day at the same time. The boy functions like a Swiss watch, accurate to the hour, minute and second. Because his siblings are much older, life at home could be quite uncomplicated. Most days, JJ loves to play on his Xbox and virtual reality headsets. Gaming time, however, came with strings attached. Schoolwork must be done, his room had to be tidied up, and light chores had to be done around the house. Mum, tell me about baby JJ again, please, the boy always requests. Which part? Mrs. V asks, always pretending she has no idea of what he wants. Like, did I always know how to read? It feels like it, JJ says. Mrs. V tells him that he's liked letters, shapes and fast-moving objects since he was a baby. During his toddler years, no was JJ's favourite word. The Giggle Bellies, Toddler World TVs, the Shape Song, Pocoyo, Super Simple Learning, Kids TV 123, the Learning Station ABC and Songphonics were always playing in the background. JJ enjoyed educational shows, but at the time, the family didn't know that these were early signs of a precocious reader. The doctor called it hyperlexia, a fascination with letters and numbers that makes the person excel at memorising and learning rules and patterns quickly. And so you became a super reader by the time you were 3 years old, Mrs. V says. Oh yes, I remember that. The Very Hungry Caterpillar and the Pout Pout Fish were 2 of my favourites, right? Yes, that's right, Mrs. V says before proceeding one more time with the rest of the story for JJ. Around his second birthday, JJ had a tough time adapting to changes in daily routines. Sometimes he would push children that came near him. Teachers and caretakers didn't know how to help him back then. But all things somehow find their own truth, and now the whole family knows better. Vivid images of those days are still fresh in Mrs. V's mind. Let's have a good breakfast, Mrs. V says, and proceeds to the kitchen. Breakfast is either cereal or Canadian bacon with scrambled eggs on 2 small dinner rolls. However, once sitting at the table, JJ continues recording on his phone. By the way, on Mondays I must set up my reminders for the week. Do you have to set up reminders? JJ, please focus on breakfast, Mrs. V warns. The boy switched from recording to watching the last episode of one of his favourite shows on his cell phone. He can't eat without watching something on his cell phone, no matter how hard his parents try to discourage this behaviour. I love you, Mum. You're the best mum in the world, he says while eating his special K with warm milk that his mother had already placed on the table. I love you more, Mrs. V replies. Bring it in, says JJ, gesturing for Mum to come in for a hug. Mrs. V often would try to change the order of events to minimise repetition, but the success rate is minimal. Repetition or sameness is good for JJ's day. You are the best mum. I love you. Can I play mini hoop until it's time to go? Yes, but please be ready to leave when called. Mrs. V instructs as she started to get ready for work when her husband shows up right on cue. Good morning, Dad. JJ hugs and greets him when it needs to happen, not earlier. Good morning, puppy, Dad replies. He knows JJ's routines. Dad's arrival into the picture signals that it is time for school. JJ loves basketball with a green passion, green as in Boston Celtics green. And whenever there's pleasant weather, it's time to hit the basketball courts to keep practicing and play with other kids. However, Mrs. V must keep an eye on her son because experience has taught her that some kids do not play fair. She doesn't want to look overprotective, but she can't help it. Sometimes, nonetheless, the situations on the court elevate the levels of competition among the players, resulting in tensions and aggressions JJ is not prepared to handle, and things escalate quickly. Get out of there, JJ, they're playing you, Mrs. V might yell flustered from the other side of the basketball courts. On one occasion, she told JJ that if he was the owner of the basketball and that if the other kids didn't play nice or teach him how to play, they could go fly a kite. Mum, why would they want to fly a kite? JJ then asked, puzzled as he approached her. I agree, honey. Never mind. Mrs. V laughed. I thought they were my friends, but do you know what? It's okay, JJ said with a shrug, a wistful smile playing on his lips. There wasn't a trace of anger or resentment in his voice as he turned to his mum and added, Hey, did you know something fascinating? Muggsy Bogues, the NBA's shortest basketball player, stood tall at a mere 5'3". Can you believe that? His mum looked at him with a knowing glint in her eyes, realising that JJ was trying to mask his true feelings beneath his fascination for basketball trivia. She gently placed a comforting hand on his shoulder, understanding that this was his way of coping with the hurt he must be feeling. No way, that's impressive. You are 5'6" and sometimes have difficulty shooting the ball into the basket. Imagine how challenging it could have been for Muggsy, yet he thrived. And so can you, Mrs. V told JJ. Yes, I've already told Dad that I'd like to be an NBA player when I grow up. I'll be a Boston Celtic. Okay, ambitious, I love that. Well then you've got lots of practice to do, especially on how to spot foul play, my love, chuckled Mum. Hug please. JJ threw his full weight on Mum, oblivious to how other kids on the basketball courts may perceive a preteen boy hugging his mum in public. You are the best, Mum. I love you. I loved you first. Never. I love you more. That day, they made their way back home while Dad walked beside them, bouncing the ball. On their way to school that morning, JJ was unusually chatty. Mum, he says, I really don't want an aide at school. I just want to be like all the other kids. The request totally caught Mrs. V off guard. JJ's shot swished right from downtown beyond the three-point liner. Tenderly, his mother replied, In so many ways, my dear, you already are like them. But don't forget to embrace the wonderful qualities that make you unique. Continue with your focus routines and you might not need an aid next year. Mum, what about a dog? I can't stop thinking about having a dog. Last night I dreamed about that adorable pup again. Mrs. V smiled, acknowledging the sudden change of topic. Getting a dog is a big responsibility, JJ. It requires commitment and care. Let's talk it over with Dad and see what we can do. If you're ready to take on the responsibility, then why not? Excitedly, JJ added, wouldn't it be magical if you surprised me with a dog? It wouldn't be a surprise then, his mum replies with the biggest of smiles. With a hint of mystery, she adds, but you know, sometimes wishes do come true. You never know. And then in a playful manner, JJ requests, butterfly kiss, Mum. His mother obliged, leaning in to give him a sweet butterfly kiss. She gently bats her eyelashes against his cheeks, making him giggle with delight. Mum, you're the absolute best, JJ beams. His mother chuckles lovingly. No, my dear, you are the best. I love you so much. No, I love you even more, JJ insists. But remember, I loved you first, she reminds him with a warm smile. As they drove to school and the day broke in, sunlight bathed their faces. Chapter 2, On the Island. The midday sun shone brightly, turning the day into a mesmerising tapestry of glimmering hues. His strong, slender frame fell onto his strong paws with abandon, as if he felt the master of the breeze that caressed him. Snout half open, tongue sticking out, as he trots down the block, his head held high, ears swaying in perfect rhythm to the cool breeze that brushed against his charcoal and white-spotted fur. A more loyal dog would be hard to find. Inquisitive, fearless and adventurous. He was the swag king of chill. Hey little guy, why the rush? Called out Mama Fifa, a local merchant whose store was known for selling prayers, portraits of saints and amulets for those seeking redemption and favours from saints and deities for health, work and good fortune. When she first saw the pup wandering outside her shop, she couldn't help but be drawn to the little guy's infectious energy and charm. Come over here, buddy, gesturing with her hands for the pup to come closer. Right on cue, the dog picked up the pace and made his way to her. Did he just smile at her? Well, what do we have here? She crouched at the sight of the little scrawny tail-wagging mutt. Then she picked it up carefully to avoid getting any fleas on her clothes. Come here, where do you come from? You need to put some meat on your bones. Do you want to come with me? Hey lady, what's up? What have you got there? Thought the dog, sniffing at the pocket on the lady's apron. Do you have anything to eat, huh? Oh, okay, we're going somewhere, all right. The young puppy was curious and hungry. He offered no resistance. You remind me of a black bean. I will call you Frijolito. How does that sound? Hey, that's dope, I like it. But first, let us give you a nice bath, Mama Fifa told him as she brought him out into her backyard. A what? Wait, no, what is a bath? Thought Frijolito. But just as quickly, he pushed the thought aside. Heck, who cares? At least I won't have to fight with my siblings to feed when Mum is around. A short while later, Mama Fifa filled up a bucket with water and put the puppy in it. Come on now, little puppy, she said. Frijolito, Frijolito is the name, please. Immediately, once soaked up and scrubbed like an old rag, Frijolito realised what a bath meant. His tail wagged enough to pretend joy. He barked a couple of times, but what he wanted to say was, well, this is not fun. But then he licked Mama Fifa's face as well. By the afternoon, he wore a homemade collar and a small wooden name tag with his name carved on it. The outfit boosted his morale. I'm legit now, thought Frijolito, full of pride. And then he woofed. About a year had passed and Frijolito had grown stronger and taller, his adventurous spirit leading him on longer walks through town. His nose always curious and his appetite always ready for new tastes were a dynamic duo guiding him to exciting places. And it was in the heart of town, a charming seaside area called the Malecon, where his latest escapades unfolded. El Malecon, a stone-lined promenade, provided the perfect spot for people to sit and marvel at the majestic waves crashing against the jetties and piers. Located in the Miramar neighbourhood of San Pedro de Macorís, a quaint seashore town nestled in the southeast of the Dominican Republic, it offered an enchanting view of the Caribbean Sea that gently kissed the shore. The swaying palm trees offered a refreshing cool breeze. Frijolito felt a sense of freedom whenever he ventured to El Malecón. On scorching hot days, he would beeline to the beach, where he could frolic on the beach without anyone raising an objection. The Playa de los Muertos, or Beach of the Dead, was his go-to destination for chasing geckos and small crabs. The joy of those carefree moments in nature added a splash of excitement to his young life, but of course, every adventure comes with its share of challenges. And for Frijolito, that challenge came in the form of the infamous cranky crab. "Cut it out or I'll make you quit," snapped the old feisty crab, paying no mind to Frijolito's attempts to play. "Ha! Make me stop! You and what army?" Frijolito taunted the crab, closing in on it and tossing sand in its direction. Right then, Cranky Crab's right claw landed right on target, Frijolito's nose. "Ouch! You don't play fair," whined Frijolito. You'd think he would have learned by now that the Cranky Crab was always in a grumpy mood and never up for fun and games. Frijolito ended up keeping his distance from him. Under the cool shade of a swaying coconut tree, Frijolito winced, his nose throbbing with pain from the crab's sneaky snap. He was too proud to admit how badly it hurt, though, so he let the gentle breeze soothe him, and before long he surrendered to a midday nap. He had a dream where he got his revenge on that annoying crab, defeating it with ease. Okay, it might have only been a dream, but waking up from it made him feel better. Life wasn't all that complicated for Frijolito. Not on any given day. His little adventure usually revolved around simple willingness to feel part of life. Beyond the charming Malecón, where Frijolito took his rest, lay the bustling seaport. It was a place of excitement and anticipation, where he eagerly waited for the fishermen to return with their day's catch. Those friendly sailors treated him like a cherished pet, spoiling him with delightful seafood treats. This is the main reason Frijolito became a pescatarian. In exchange, Frijolito had a special job, shooing away seagulls and curious cats. It might have been a small task, but hey, not a bad gig at all. And so life went on, simple yet delightful for Frijolito on this quaint coastal stretch. Until Stray appeared, that is. The alpha mutt at the seaport often made fun of Frijolito while his lackeys laughed and followed him around, starving. "Only cats and seagulls eat fish," said Stray. His squad laughed it off. "Really? Oh please, what are you eating?" asked Frijolito. "Let me hear it," he added as he perked one ear up. "Certainly not fish," replied Stray. "We dogs chew on bones. Get it, dog? Besides, we're on our way to the meat market." "Yeah, right, the exact same meat market you went to yesterday, of course. Well, good luck with that, my friend. Catch you later near the old dumpster. You know, the one you often go to? And hey, don't forget to fetch those bones," chuckled Frijolito, giving a little shrug as he brushed off the teasing words. "Oh my goodness, what a ragtag gang," Frijolito thought to himself, shaking his head in amazement. He had a trusty source of food, unlike Stray's crew, who preferred digging through garbage. And you know what else? He stumbled upon a loving extended family, and that was what mattered most. With them by his side, he didn't need to waste a single second worrying about what the salty bunch might think. Life was looking up, and Frijolito was ready to face the world with his newfound family. Frijolito had a superpower that made him stand out even more among his furry friends. He could smell danger from a mile away. One sunny day, while playing on the beach, he spotted a little girl, venturing too close to the powerful waves that crashed onto the shore. Without a second thought, Frijolito dashed towards her, barking urgently to get her attention and keep her safe. "Watch out for the waves! Stop!" Frijolito woofed, his furry tail wagging with concern. The little girl, who was all alone, looked startled by the sudden commotion, but she listened to her furry rescuer. Just in time, a beachgoer noticed the commotion and asked if the little girl and the dog belonged to someone. The lifeguard quickly ran to help, and the girl's family rushed over in relief. "I saw the dog running towards her and then barking non-stop. If I hadn't intervened, the waves would have swept her into the water," the kind beachgoer told the girl's family. That little dog saved her, and so Frijolito's life took an exciting turn. He became known as a rescue dog, a 4 four-legged hero. The girl's family, along with other beachgoers and even city officials, wanted to honour his bravery. The news spread quickly and reached Mama Fifa's ears, who was not surprised to hear about her beloved Frijolito's selfless act. She was bursting with pride when local authorities held a small ribbon-cutting ceremony to officially celebrate his new title. As Frijolito stood there with the ribbon around his neck, he couldn't help but think, I could live a lifetime with this spotlight. I like it. Cameras were flashing, capturing his brave story, and he smiled with pride, feeling like a true celebrity. From that day on, beachgoers warmly welcomed their furry lifeguard. Frijolito had found his calling, and his days were filled with joy, knowing he was making a real difference. It was an incredible journey for a dog who started as a beachcomber and now was a true hero to everyone around. And so the adventures of Frijolito, the brave canine lifeguard, continued with the happy wag of his tail and endless gratitude. Weeks later, a gigantic cruise ship arrived at the port, a sight like nothing El Malecon had ever seen before. The majestic ship drew everyone's attention, and Frijolito couldn't resist being part of the crowd that had gathered to welcome the disembarking visitors. Oh, how curious he was! His nose quivered with excitement. As passengers began to descend the ramp, Frijolito couldn't contain his amazement. What could be inside, he wondered, tapping the ramp with an eager paw. Amidst the hustle and bustle, his senses were alert, deciphering the countless scents filling the air. People from all over the world, so many faces, so many aromas. The friendliest passengers patted him gently, making his tail wag happily, while others paid him no mind. Until, of course, a lady with a large straw hat spotted him at the edge of the ramp. "Are you lost, little one?" she asked, as she checked the identification tag around his neck. "Frijolito, huh? Good name. I'm Lydia." She glanced around, making sure no one was desperately searching for the dog. Then, with determination, she picked up Frijolito in her arms. He tried to break free, but she held him firmly. "What's wrong with you, lady? Hey, you, let go of me." Frijolito barked with all his might, trying to escape her grip. "Calm down, little buddy. We'll get you some help," she reassured him. "Please, let me go. I don't need help," Frijolito pleaded, squirming to escape, but all the lady heard was Frijolito's insistent barking. "Is something wrong, Mrs. Shapiro?" asked Jose, one of the stewards on Mrs. Lydia Shapiro's cabin floor, who stepped in ready to help. "Is this your dog?" "Oh, thank God you're here. Thank you, Jose, for catching this beautiful boy. But no, he's not mine. Would you help me find out if someone on the ship is looking for a dog?" Mrs. Lydia requested. "Of course, we allow dogs on board, but if this one belongs to a passenger, we'll surely know." "I'll spread the word and inform you once you return from the city," Jose promised. "I'll take him to the kennels and inquire in the pet owner's room." Meanwhile, Frijolito felt quite anxious. "Take me where? Wait, who lost whom?" he wondered, trying to make sense of it all. "Hey, wait, I'm fine. Please let me go." Frijolito barked again, attempting to break free, but Jose held him firmly by the collar, just in time, preventing his escape. "No, young sir," Jose told him. "If your owners are on board, they'll surely miss you." Frijolito growled, looking at the man with hopeful eyes, silently begging to be released. He had an important job to do, but despite his efforts, Jose took him with the other pets in stacked cages. Frijolito couldn't help but hope that Mrs. Lydia would come to rescue him. "She said she would help me. I'm sure she'll tell this guy to let me go. I'm not lost," he thought, clinging to hope. But Mrs. Lydia got caught up in the tour that was organised from San Pedro to the old town of Santo Domingo and was so fascinated that she lost track of time. So when she returned from her sightseeing tour later that day, the ship was about to depart. Jose nervously greeted her and informed her that no one had claimed or reported a lost dog. Furthermore, it wasn't registered under any passenger's care, so they would have to release him. But there was a problem. The ship was about to depart, and the captain had already issued the departure signal, indicating that the ship was leaving the port. "No one's allowed to board the ship now, Mrs. Lydia," he said, "and no one can get off." "Oh, poor little dog," she exclaimed. One of the crew members started to shake his head, apologising. "I'm sorry, ma'am, but we can't take pets on board unless they belong to one of the passengers, and our records show that no one has reported a lost dog." Well then, she said firmly, are you going to throw him overboard? Are you going to make him walk the plank? Oh no, ma'am, no. We don't even have a plank. Perfect, she said. Then I'll keep the dog until we find a safe shelter. The crew member was surprised but understood. Are you sure, ma'am? Could be a big responsibility, not to mention the cost. I'm sure, Mrs. Shapiro replied with determination. And just forget about the cost. This little one needs someone to take care of him, and I can't turn my back on him. Finally, the captain was consulted, and with the crew member's approval, Mrs. Shapiro was allowed to keep the dog. As the ship sailed away, she sat in one of the deck chairs, the little dog nestled by her side, finding comfort in her presence. Don't be afraid, she said as she petted him. No one would come looking for the dog. With each passing moment, Mrs. Shapiro's heart warmed with the furry companion by her side. You know what? You and I are going to be great friends, she said, giving the dog a tender pat. And so an unexpected friendship blossomed between Mrs. Shapiro and the little dog on that memorable day. As the ship sailed into the Caribbean Sea, the woman's heart knew that there were no coincidences in life, and Frijolito seemed to agree, wagging his tail happily, grateful for the new care and love he had found. Well, it's not like I have a choice, Frijolito sighed inwardly. He couldn't shake the feeling that his life was about to change forever. He looked out of the porthole behind Mrs. Lydia, catching a glimpse of the seaport and El Malecon. Although Mrs. Lydia had good intentions, he couldn't help but worry about what awaited him. He barked and whined, despite Mrs. Lydia's comforting attempts. As the cruise ship slowly moved away from the port and the coastline became smaller and smaller, Frijolito knew it would be the last sight of his hometown. What will Mama FIFA think when I don't come home? Will I swim at Playa de Muertos again? Will the fishermen miss me? Who will patrol the beach in my place? Will anyone notice my absence? He thought. He faintly heard Mrs. Lydia's reassuring words. Sleep, Frijolito, just sleep. Things will get better. I promise. And the ship's crew will find you a good place to sleep for the rest of the journey, Mrs. Lydia assured him as she scratched the back of his ears. Chapter 3, A New Home. The journey to Mrs. Lydia's house took a week, and by the time they docked in Manhattan, on that cold and rainy November afternoon, Frijolito's little paws were wobbly from all the swaying back and forth on the ship. Oh, finally, back on solid ground again. I never want to see the inside of a ship ever again in my life, thought Frijolito, relieved to be off the rocking boat. Once they cleared customs, they stepped out into the bustling city, but Frijolito wasn't prepared for the freezing cold that waited outside. Wait, it's incredibly cold out here. I can't feel my paws, he exclaimed, pulling hard on his leash, determined to stay inside the baggage claim area. He tugged Mrs. Lydia back, making sure there was no way she could go back out. It's okay, sweetheart. Oh my goodness, I forgot that we're here in late autumn and you'll need time to adjust to the drastic weather change. Mrs. Lydia consoled him. Then she grabbed a shawl from her travel bag and wrapped it around Frijolito. You'll love our warm home, dear. Taxi! Feeling a bit self-conscious about how he looked with the shawl, grateful that no one would recognise him in such attire, Frijolito settled in for his taxi ride. As they drove through the city, he observed all the bright lights, towering buildings, and unique skyscraper architecture. It was quite a change from what he was used to seeing in Santo Domingo. However, as the cars rushed by, he let the memories of his home with FIFA soothe his nerves. The warmth of those memories led him to sleep, and he found himself yearning for more comforting weather, accompanied by delicious fish. Wake up, dear, we're home. Mrs. Lydia's gentle voice woke him as they arrived. Getting out of the taxi, Frijolito's eyes landed on a quaint one-storey house that stood stoic and triumphant in front of them. The little yellow house with its bright red door nestled among a row of buildings and looked very welcoming. Next to the house was a small park that had clearly seen better days. But what caught Frijolito's attention was the small green and yellow bird fluttering excitedly by the window on the right side of the house. Mama Lydia, tweet, 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 chirped Fina, the parrot, approving of Mrs. Lydia's colourful ensemble. Frijolito relaxed upon seeing it. Well, it's a parakeet. That means I'll have fun, he thought, recalling the parakeets from his home. Shy, Mrs. Lydia's cat, gave him a cold look as he stretched gracefully. It was clear that Shy was the boss of the house. With a sense of anticipation and excitement, Frijolito approached the front door. He was about to start a new chapter in his life, in a world quite different from what he knew. But with Mrs. Lydia's warm embrace and the friendly company of Fina and Shy, he felt a glimmer of hope and the promise of a loving home. And so, with his tail wagging, Frijolito entered the little yellow house, ready to embrace this new adventure with his new family. The next morning, Mila kept the promise she had made to Frijolito the day before to bring him delicious treats and tastier food. As soon as she placed the food bowl on the floor, the little dog rushed to the kitchen and devoured everything within seconds. Mila, Fina, Mrs. Lydia and Shy stood there in complete shock because Frijolito had eaten all of Shy's food, every bit of the dry salmon and its leftovers. What was even more surprising, Frijolito didn't even touch his own dog food, which remained fresh just inches away. That was simply delicious smoked salmon, thought Frijolito, feeling quite satisfied as he returned to his cosy spot on the bed. Shy couldn't believe what he had just witnessed. Who does this skinny guy think he is? This only proves why dogs and cats will never get along, thought Shy as he looked at his empty bowl and the dog with disdain. Mila simply brushed it off. Well, I've seen weirder things, she said with a smile, knowing that the dynamics of this new furry family might take some getting used to. Mila, the new pet sitter, had found her first paid job after spotting an ad in the local parish newsletter. Being a high school senior, she knew that every little bit helped to contribute towards her future college expenses. Mila was a member of the church's youth group and often volunteered with community service during her free time. She had become the closest person to Mrs. Lydia, who had no surviving close relatives. But ever since they met, Mila has become like family to her. They shared a special bond, and Mrs. Lydia trusted Mila with the care of her beloved pets while she was away. It was a responsibility Mila cherished and took very seriously, knowing how much those furry companions meant to Mrs. Lydia. Now with Frijolito home, she'd have more responsibility. And so, with a heart full of excitement and gratitude, Mila embarked on this new adventure as a pet sitter, ready to shower Mrs. Lydia's pets with love and care, just like they were her own. Little did she know that this gig would become so much more than just a job. It would be a connection that would touch her life and Mrs. Lydia's in the most beautiful and unexpected ways. As the days settled into a routine, each pet found their place in the cosy house. Early fall brought quieter times to the playground next door, which meant less outdoor adventures, except for Shy the cat. Frijolito couldn't help but feel a tinge of envy as he watched Shy come and go freely. If only I had the freedom to roam like Shy, he thought with a woof. He missed home, the beach, and even that grumpy old crab. He wondered if Mama FIFA had searched for him and worried that she might think he intentionally abandoned her. But with time, Frijolito adapted to his new indoor life. He learned to avoid Shy, the proud and regal cat whom Mrs. Lydia had adopted from a neighbour. Instead, Frijolito found comfort in the lively presence of Fina, the parakeet. The bird had quite a big personality and often boasted about her prestigious lineage. I descend from the greatest stage parakeet, Rena Mora spindalis. A more gracious bird has never existed before, Fina would claim with a hint of grandeur. She loved performing by the window, entertaining a curious audience of hungry alley cats and passers-by. Fina could mimic popular songs and even throw in not-so-popular words she overheard from neighbours. Like Frijolito, Fina dreamed of returning to her home in El Yunque National Forest, located in Puerto Rico. She and her siblings were taken from their nest and sold in pet shops in the US, and she yearned to honour her ancestors by performing in the grand canopy of her homeland. Wish that cage came with a volume knob, grumbled Shy, finding Fina's songs a bit over the top. He liked to keep his regal composure and could often be found perched on top of his scratching post, looking down on his housemates, unaffected. Frijolito, never one to shy away from speaking up, couldn't resist stepping in. "Hey, pick on someone your own size. Leave her be. She's spreading joy while you're always gloomy. Cheer up for a change," he barked in defence of Fina. "Oh, please, and you stay away from my food bowl and salmon treats." Shy shot back with defiant hisses and grunts, with his big green eyes challenging Frijolito. "All right, enough for tonight," interjected Mrs. Lydia, who in the face of the uproar of her pets stepped in to settle the squabble. She covered Fina's cage with a soft linen cloth, fluffed up Frijolito's bed, and patted them all good night. The alley cats outside dispersed as Mrs. Lydia closed the door, and peace settled over the house once more. Chapter 4. JJ or a Gamer's Life. JJ began the day with the sunshine of his smile. "Good morning, Mum. Could I have cereal, please?" "Of course, dear," Mum replied, returning the smile. "Coming right up, a bowl of Special K with warm milk." Mum carefully set the microwave for 50 seconds, heating the milk to just the right temperature. She poured the warm milk into a cereal bowl and gently added the cereal. JJ was quite meticulous about the texture of his cereal. It couldn't be too soggy or too crunchy for him to enjoy it exactly as he liked it. And Mum knew how to make it perfect every time. "Here you go, sweetheart," Mrs. V said, pouring herself a cup of coffee and sitting down next to JJ at the breakfast table. Perfect, thanks, Mum. You make the best cereal in the world." "Hug, please," JJ said, smiling and wrapping his arms around his mother. "That's my thing," she laughed. Although JJ was more than capable of preparing his own cereal, he always insisted it tasted better when his mother made it. "It's Saturday and we have chores to do. Finish your breakfast to get energised and start," the mother reminded her younger son. But JJ had something else in mind. "Mum, A&E Comics has the new Pokemon cards for $5 per pack. I have the $20 that Abuelita gave me," he said excitedly, paying little attention to his mother's reminder about household chores. Mrs. V's response was firm. "We're not going anywhere until your room is tidy and you've taken a shower," she said, leaving no room for negotiation. On Saturday mornings, they dedicated themselves to a thorough cleaning of the house, and no one in the household was exempt from their responsibilities. With a little reluctance, JJ finished his cereal and headed to the sink, one hand still holding his cell phone as he watched the latest viral videos. Electronic devices and JJ were inseparable, despite his mum's best efforts to limit screen time. "JJ, put down the phone and let's get started, or there'll be no trip to the comic book store," Mrs. V gently warned, urging JJ to focus on the tasks at hand. JJ reluctantly complied and proceeded to complete his chores. "Mum, I put my dirty clothes on top of the washing machine, made my bed and placed my shoes in the closet. My desk is organised. Can I play now?" he asked, hoping to be done with the cleaning. However, the mother knew that something was still pending. "How about a nice bath or a shower?" she suggested, already anticipating JJ's resistance to this part of the routine. "Oh yes, that's right," JJ mumbled, removing his virtual reality headsets. Despite his initial resistance, he knew that personal hygiene was only a small part of the Saturday morning routine, and he would soon head to the comic book store to explore the world of Pokemon cards once he finished his chores at home. When JJ entered the shower, Mrs. V took a moment to check that her son had completed his tasks. The room appeared tidier, but she couldn't help but smile at the way JJ had arranged all his toys and knickknacks in their peculiar places. To JJ, those toys were exactly where they needed to be, even if they seemed scattered to anyone else. "Can I play now?" the boy asked with a hopeful gleam in his eyes once he came out of the shower. He was certain that there was only one answer, because he had done everything his mother had asked. "What about the cushions all over the floor in the living room? Could you please put them back on the sofa? Also, the dirty clothes were on top and not inside the washing machine," Mrs. V responded gently. "But you only told me to tidy my room, put the dirty clothes on top of the washing machine and not inside it, and organise my desk. You didn't say anything about the cushions in the living room. How come I have more tasks now?" JJ asked as frustration began to creep into his voice. And time was running out, and he still couldn't get on the VR headsets. "Because it's Saturday and there are always more tasks to do," Mum explained with a patient smile. JJ headed to the living room and fulfilled his duty. He knew his mother was right. There were always trivial things that needed to be done around the house. The scene Mrs. V found when she peeked into the living room later did not surprise her. JJ was completely immersed in a lively game of basketball on his virtual reality goggles. His weekend had officially begun, and she couldn't help but feel proud of how responsible JJ had been before indulging in his leisure time. "I love you, my big boy," she shouted from the kitchen. "I love you more, Mum." Mrs. V smiled. In her world, those 3 magical words held tremendous power. "I love you." They were like a warm, comforting blanket that wrapped around their hearts, strengthening the emotional bonds they shared. Mrs. V, wise and loving, understood the significance of those words to her son JJ. Every time she said "I love you," it was like sprinkling a handful of stardust over him, making him feel appreciated and cherished, just as he was. And those 3 simple words had a magical effect on JJ's spirit. They had the power to brighten even the cloudiest days, making JJ stand taller and smile more fully. When Mrs. V told JJ how much she loved him, it wasn't just an ordinary phrase. It was a secret code that opened the door to his heart, where all his dreams and hopes resided. For JJ, who sometimes faced unique challenges, hearing "I love you" was a lifeline that kept him going. It was like the gentle wind beneath his wings, giving him the strength to soar even higher. He knew he was special and loved, and those words became the foundation upon which he built his self-esteem. In JJ and Mrs. V's world, expressing love verbally was more than just a gesture. "Look at the funny video I sent you," JJ said at that moment with a smile. Unexpectedly, when Mrs. V opened the text message on her cell phone, a guy shouting in a very loud tone appeared. Mrs. V couldn't help but laugh at the joke. That was their communication style. Unconventional, but effective. "Guess what? We're walking to the comic book store," Mrs. V announced in her final statements. In the background, there was silence. JJ didn't like walking anywhere, and Mrs. V had been through enough comic book stores, arcades, and video game shops to last a lifetime. There were no winners in this match. Chapter 5. As time passed, Mila arrived with bittersweet news. With a mix of excitement and sorrow, she announced that she could no longer come every day. She explained to Mrs. Lydia that she had found an after-school program to prepare for the university entrance exam. Mrs. Lydia, always accommodating, assured Mila not to worry and asked her which days and hours would work for her. Mila confirmed that Fridays at 4 p.m. would work, along with the usual Saturdays and Sundays. She mentioned that she would spread the word to find someone to replace her from Monday to Thursday and asked if that was okay. Mrs. Lydia kindly replied that it was a great plan and assured Mila that they would manage just fine in the meantime. She wished Mila good luck with her classes and thanked her for letting her know. Frijolito, who already felt like part of the family, felt uncomfortable. He couldn't help but worry about the changes. "But Mrs. Lydia can't take me on long walks or play with me as much. Hope we can find another walker soon. The kids hardly ever come near me. And Mrs. Lydia seems incapable of coming home without my help," he thought, concerned for his dear friend. During a recent walk, Frijolito noticed that Mrs. Lydia seemed disorientated. "We're home," he barked, trying to guide her back. His sharp barks snapped her out of her trance, and she appeared grateful for his help. "I miss the old times, guys." Frijolito shared his concerns with Fina and Shai. "Something is wrong, and I've noticed that on days when we don't have a pet sitter, our food and water bowls often stay empty for quite a while. The house also looks a bit neglected." Shai, always sceptical, retorted, "You're hungry all the time. It's making you hallucinate, dude." But Fina was more understanding and comforting. "Don't mind Shai, I agree with you. Hey, I can sing more of her favourite songs to cheer her up. Wouldn't that be fun?" "No, that won't work for long, Fina," Frijolito replied, knowing that something deeper was amiss. Suddenly cries interrupted their conversation. "Out! Out!" Mrs. Lydia seemed confused when Shai tried to jump on her lap. "What's all this ruckus about?" Frijolito and Fina rushed to the dining room to see what was happening. Shai, for the first time, seemed to care. Once Mrs. Lydia calmed down, Frijolito rested near her recliner, trying to provide comfort. Fina, always cheerful, took her place by the window and began to sing. "Lydia, Lydia, sing a song." Mrs. Lydia joined in with a smile, and for a moment worries and uncertainties faded as they shared a special moment together. But Frijolito couldn't shake the feeling that something deeper was happening, and he promised to keep an eye on things to ensure his beloved Mrs. Lydia was well cared for. A phone call interrupted the morning, and the receptionist at the other end informed Mrs. Lydia that they were calling from Dr. Neuron's office, and that the results of her medical tests were available. They asked her to schedule an appointment as soon as possible. Mrs. Lydia, unable to recall the doctor's office's location, asked if they could arrange a televisit instead. However, the receptionist apologised and stated that it wasn't possible this time. They needed the doctor to see her in person. The receptionist also asked if she had someone who could accompany her. Mrs. Lydia's tone shifted from cheerful to concerned when she inquired why it was necessary for someone to accompany her. The receptionist explained that it was the doctor's recommendation. So they agreed on an appointment for the next day and wished her good night. Mrs. Lydia thanked them, and after hanging up, she looked at the name and number on her message board embedded in the wall, which had been there for years. She didn't hesitate much and decided to call Mila. "Hello, Mila, do you have a minute, dear? I'm sorry to bother you, but I was wondering if you could accompany me to my doctor's appointment tomorrow at 5 p.m. "Yes, of course, I can make the arrangements, but I would need to meet you at the doctor's office." "Anyway, should I coordinate transportation to take you there?" "Yes, please. Oh, Mila, what would I do without you?" "I'm happy to help. I'll text you with the details shortly. How are the kids?" "The kids?" "Yes, Frijolito, Shy and Fina." "Oh, sure, of course, they're good, but they miss you a lot." "I miss them too. Well, have a good night and see you tomorrow, all right?" "The same to you, dear. Thank you very much. See you tomorrow." Mrs. Lydia gazed out of the window, her eyes fixed on the playground below. Early evening had brought a serene calmness to the surroundings. Memories flooded over her, reminding her of the pure joy she had felt for swings during her childhood. A nostalgic smile played on her lips as she remembered how her parents used to take her to the park by the lake, spending entire afternoons there. Time had woven a considerable gap between those moments and the present, yet the warmth of those memories enveloped her with the same strength now as it had then. Settling into her recliner, she felt a sense of comfort wash over her. Suddenly, Shy jumped delicately onto her lap, seeking her company. Nearby, Frijolito, unsure but confident, nestled at her feet. This familiar scene had been repeated countless times before, a comforting ritual of connection and companionship. However, she sensed that this familiar scene might be ending. Fina was warming up her beak to sing. The neighbourhood alley cats lurked and drawled outside the dining room window once again. Fina wasn't concerned that at the slightest provocation her audience would turn her to dinner. The receptionist welcomed Mrs. Lydia and asked her to have a seat in the waiting room, adding that Dr. Neuron would see her shortly. Mila reassured Mrs. Lydia, saying everything would be fine. In response, Mrs. Lydia expressed her hope as she looked at the file on the desk with her name. "I hope so," Mrs. Lydia replied. "Hello, Mrs. Lydia, how are you? And who is this lovely young lady?" Dr. Neuron asked. "Hello, Doctor, this is, I'm Mila, the pet caregiver. Pleased to meet you." Mila quickly added when she saw Mrs. Lydia struggling to remember her name. "Hello, Mila, thank you for coming with Mrs. Lydia. Is there any close adult family member we can contact?" "I don't remember anyone else," Mrs. Lydia replied. The doctor appeared concerned and saddened. "I see. Mrs. Lydia, I regret to inform you that the test results indicate you have developed symptoms of Alzheimer's," the doctor said gently, adopting a compassionate approach. "This is not an easy situation, but please know that we are here to support you throughout this journey. We can discuss distinct options for long-term care, and if you have close family or friends, we can also involve them in the decision-making process." Mrs. Lydia looked at the doctor, feeling a mix of emotions. "Dr. Neuron, all of this is new to me. I don't know what to do. I've outlived my parents. I have no siblings or children. What am I going to do?" she asked, seeking guidance. Tears were about to roll down her cheeks. "I understand the situation," Dr. Neuron responded. "In that case, we have a network of wonderful and caring professionals who can provide you with the assistance you need. I'll give you their contact information so you can explore your options. If you want our help in coordinating the arrangements, don't hesitate to let us know. Remember, you're not alone in this. After handing a resources folder to Mila, Dr. Neuron concluded, read through all the information or Mila can read it to you. Right, Mila? Of course, Doctor, it will be my pleasure, Mila replied. And if you have any questions, give me a call. It's a new process, but I'll see both of you soon, okay? The doctor said, demonstrating his compassion and support. Mrs. Lydia seemed a bit confused, but for Mila everything made sense now. Mrs. Lydia's forgetfulness, struggles with daily tasks, disinterest in going out, and occasional difficulty recognising her pets were signs of the disease. Let's go home, Mrs. Lydia, but first would you like to stop for a moment to have your favourite ice cream? Mila suggested, offering a comforting and familiar treat to her friend. Sure, Mrs. Lydia replied, grateful for the understanding and support she was receiving during this challenging time. A few days later, Dr. Neuron called Mila with the news that his team had found a suitable place where they would take care of Mrs. Lydia. In a rare moment of clarity, Mrs. Lydia pleaded with Mila to promise her that she would help find a loving home for the pets. Mila assured her, saying, "You have my word." Mila understood the significant responsibility ahead of her. Although unsure of her ability to keep the promise, she was determined to do her best. Mrs. Lydia would be leaving in a couple of weeks. The problem now was who would take care of Mrs. Lydia's pets. Mila's parents, aware of the situation, allowed her to keep shy. Fina would go to live with the owner of a Dominican hair salon where she would have an audience to entertain. However, Frijolito's fate was uncertain. "I'm sorry, but we can't keep Frijolito," the owner told Mila's parents. "Rules are rules." Saddened Mila made a flyer and posted it along the dog run area in the park, on lampposts around the neighbourhood and online. Time was running out. Mrs. Lydia's departure date was imminent. One early Sunday morning, the care facility sent a transport service to pick up Mrs. Lydia. She wore the same straw hat she had worn on the day she met Frijolito. Although her illness was taking away bits of her memories, she still had the same cheerful personality. Mila and the pets accompanied her to the waiting van. Mrs. Lydia entered the van and sat by the window. "Thank you for everything, Mila. Come to visit me soon, but don't wait too long. I might not remember you," she said, tears in her eyes as she bid farewell to each of them. "Of course, I hope to visit you soon in your new home, Mrs. Lydia. We'll see each other again, I promise." Mila closed the van's door and returned to the sidewalk as the van drove away. "Woof, woof," Frijolito barked, and wondered if she would really recognise him the next time they met. Mila scratched behind his ears to comfort him. She didn't have the heart to tell Mrs. Lydia the truth. No one had come for Frijolito. "We'll be okay, right?" Frijolito thought, unaware of his destiny, as he affectionately licked the young woman's face. Chapter 6. Self-Rescue. The crate closed behind him. He barked softly, with big, sad eyes. Mila had lured Frijolito to get inside a large kennel by the sidewalk. Mila began to sob. "You'll be okay, Frijolito," she told him. "What is this?" "No, am I not going with you?" Frijolito said, but he seemed miserable. A young man picked up the crate, placed it in the back of a van, where there were other dogs whining and barking desperately. "What's going on in here?" Frijolito wondered. He looked desperately at Mila, seeking an explanation. "I'll find you a permanent home, my dear friend, I promise. I found this lovely place across the bridge in Jersey. They promised to take good care of you until I come back. Just give me a few days and I'll come to get you. Just hold on there." Mila offered her hand. Frijolito licked it tenderly, pretending not to notice the sadness on Mila's face. Once at the animal shelter, it was clear that Frijolito's luck had worsened. His caretaker placed him in a small cell, surrounded by other pets surrendered to the shelter, and with his eyes full of despair and desolation, he curled up, exhausted. His besieged mind gave way to a cruel nightmare. "Oh no, I need to get out of here, let me out!" Frijolito barked upon wakening, feeling the walls closing in around him. "It's okay, buddy, we'll find you a new home. Please don't be afraid. Listen, I'll take you out to run and play in the yard for a while, all right?" one of the handlers said in a reassuring tone. "But first, the vet will check you to make sure you're healthy enough, and then we'll take you to get vaccinated and neutered, bud. You'll be a new Frijolito then." "Neutered? What now?" Frijolito panicked, unsure about all the unfamiliar terms. He could only rely on his instincts and looked around for someone to open the door. If he had the chance, he would run off and find his freedom. However, the caretakers seemed alert and watchful all the time. Even during his health inspection, they stayed close. He realised he would have to find another way to escape. Finally, once in the yard, Frijolito saw a groundhog mound near the fence. The ground looked soft and inviting, so he started digging as fast as he could. His handler had returned to the shelter, leaving the dogs alone. Excitement and hope surged in Frijolito's heart as he dug the hole, big enough for him to crawl through. The other dogs, curious, gathered around him and unintentionally formed a wall of dogs that prevented the handlers from realising what was happening. "What are you doing?" asked a one-eyed white stray. "What do you think? Looking for a bone to eat, of course." "There are no buried bones here," said a nervous chihuahua. Frijolito rolled his eyes and continued with determination. Then one of the handlers noticed the dog's strange behaviour. It took him a minute or two to realise what was happening, but by then it was too late. "Wait, no, come back, buddy, stop," cried the same caring voice that comforted him when he first arrived. The little dog hesitated for a moment, torn between his desire for freedom and the warmth he had felt from the handler. But with a deep breath, he made his decision. He turned, looking at the person who had shown him kindness in this new and bewildering place. Just maybe he could trust that they would find him a loving home. But no, there was no way he was going back. So he ran as fast and as far as he could until the shelter was no longer in sight. After leaving the animal shelter, he found a small stream and drank fresh water until he was replenished. Although he was hungry and cold and had no home, the road ahead was full of promise. There was no time to rest. "Free again," he sighed in relief, back on the road with his distinctive trot. Early the next day, Mrs. V sent a text message to Mila, expressing that she had found the flyer about Frijolito left in the playground. She mentioned they had an 11-year-old boy whom she was sure would love to meet the dog and hoped to talk to Mila soon. However, Mila had silenced her cell phone while taking her college prep exam and didn't read the message. It was undoubtedly an unfortunate circumstance. It wasn't until late in the afternoon when she turned her phone back on, and upon discovering the text, she gasped in surprise. Realising the opportunity to give Frijolito a home, Mila grabbed her bag of books and quickly rushed out. The problem now was that she had already left Frijolito at the shelter, and since he was now in the institution's custody, she would have to pay to get him back. She didn't have the money, but she did have an idea. If the interested family were willing to cover the adoption fee, they could agree to meet her at the shelter. Without wasting any more time, Mila dialed the shelter's number. "Hello? Yes, this is Mila," she said when the call connected, her voice tinged with anticipation. "I'm calling regarding Frijolito, the black bean-coloured one. I surrendered yesterday. Is it possible to coordinate a meeting at your facility for someone interested in adopting him?" "Sure, please hold," replied a gentlewoman, and Mila waited patiently as minutes passed before she got a response. "Hello, miss. Listen, I'm sorry to tell you that Frijolito escaped last night while he was in his time in the yard." Mila's heart sank and she gasped in disbelief. "What do you mean he escaped? Why didn't anyone call me?" she asked with evident concern. The woman explained, "Well, miss, the moment you handed him over, you technically renounced ownership of the dog. I'm sorry. He squeezed through a small gap right by the fence in the yard and ran off. We went searching for him, and although we couldn't find him, we've notified other shelters in the area. We're deeply sorry, but let me tell you, that's one sneaky, smart dog." Frustration and worry welled up inside Mila. "Please, I need you to find him as soon as possible. I may have found a family for him." "We'll do our best, and we'll call you as soon as we have any news," the woman promised. "Keep the faith." Feeling a sense of urgency, Mila replied, "Please call at any time," before hanging up the phone, her mind racing with thoughts of Frijolito meeting the family that might adopt him. She reread Mrs. V's text, but didn't reply. She cried. Chapter 7. Angel's Barbershop. Since he left the animal shelter, Frijolito had been hopping from alley to alley until he came across a barbershop where he met Angel, the owner. He was also from the Dominican Republic and credited his straight razor and Swiss scissors, which he kept sharp, with a success in the barbering business. Angel immediately took a liking to the street dog after seeing him wander in the park across the street, especially when he realised that the dog loved fish as much as, or even more than he did. "Come here, boy, I can share my homemade red snapper with you." "Watch out for the bones," Angel said, offering Frijolito a small portion placed near the entrance of his shop. "Hey, is that for me? Really? How delicious. Well, thank you, sir. Do you need any help around here? I can watch over anyone or anything that's not welcome here," volunteered Frijolito, grateful for the food. "It looks like you can handle that fish, huh? I could use some company, and those stray rats might stop coming around if you keep an eye out. Plus, you seem eager. So, are we in?" Angel offered. Woof, woof, woof. Frijolito's tail wagged, sealing the deal. He followed Angel while taking in every cent of the barbershop on his way. This could work. "I come in the mornings and leave in the afternoons. Good luck," Angel laughed as he walked back inside to take care of a customer. "Well, well, well, who do we have in here?" asked old Valentino, one of the rats Angel warned Frijolito about. He was large, plump, and curious. "I'm Frijolito, your neighbourhood watchdog," replied Frijolito, aware that old Valentino may be the messenger. There were more rats from where he climbed out from, for sure. "Cool, cool. Say, I come and go between the cafeteria next door and the barber shop. On the other side is the library. It's cosy in there. Say, you wouldn't have a problem with me passing through, would you?" asked old Valentino, concerned that the dog may rat him out. "I have not seen you, dude. Just stay out of Angel's sight and don't make me look bad, all right?" proposed Frijolito. "Gotcha, bro, and I will spread the word. A word of advice, though. Stay out of Laracha's way. She does not like newbies. I'll take a piece of this bread for the road. See you around." And just a bit later, he heard a buzzing sound and wondered where it was coming from. "Hey, are you going to finish those crumbs?" asked Laracha. "No, you're welcome to have them," gestured Frijolito, moving the crumbs closer to the nocturnal critter. "I am," she started saying. "I know, you must be Laracha, so what's your story? How did you get here?" asked Frijolito. "Don't we all have a story, eh? I came as a stowaway in Angel's luggage. In fact, I still live there. Smells like home," Laracha said. "Where's home?" Frijolito asked. "I'm from Santiago in the Dominican Republic." "Oh, snap. I'm from San Pedro, the birthplace of the legendary Dominican baseball players," Frijolito began to say, when Laracha put up one hairy leg. No, save all that baseball talk. Not interested." Laracha cut him up bluntly. "Anyway, just like old Valentino said, you have not seen me." She flew out before Frijolito could reply. "Sure, bye." Geez, what a crew, thought Frijolito as he got settled in. In exchange for the living arrangements, Frijolito watched out for intruders in the backyard. If people acted up in the barber shop, Angel would let Laracha out for a stroll. The once rowdy customer would run out of the barber shop swatting away as if the devil were at their heels. Who would have thought? Angel's secret weapon was a giant flying cockroach. The dog was just for show. Frijolito's silhouette projected on the wall, courtesy of the streetlights coming through the small cracks in the fence. It was a moonless, windy night. "Let me go check inside," he yawned as he stepped into the basement. His warm bed was so appealing. The sun shone brightly on the white sand. Defeated algae lay limp, victims of the receding tide. Frijolito's ears pricked up, his snout sniffing around uncontrollably. A small boat, loaded with a day's fresh catch, floated ashore. There was no one on board. He ran towards it, aware of the gastronomic feast that awaited him. At the first sight of a wriggling fish falling to the ground, he pounced on it and darted out. He thanked the fish for its sacrifice and carefully tore it up. Once done, he made his way to Donna Paquita's hostel. He remembered her instructions. "Your job is to detect thieves. Not cats, not mice, not crabs, not frogs. Thieves, understood?" she told him. "Woof woof, I got it." Affirmative, sitting at attention. But with a full belly, his eyelids became heavy as he struggled to stay awake. Soon he was snoring and twitching in his sleep. It's midnight with thunder and lightning announcing the impending rainstorm. The lightning illuminated the courtyard of the hostel. Something was moving near the brook on the opposite side of the courtyard. A pair of large blue crabs emerged. Upon spotting them, Frijolito forgot about Donna Paquita's instructions and pounced towards them. With the dexterity and agility of a swordsman, he cornered one of them. His next move was swift and certain, leaving the ill-fated crab on its back without a pincer. By the end of the night, there were no intruders to report, but 3 unarmed blue crabs were ready for Donna Paquita's cooking pot. Although it was just a dream, he had defeated the crabs that antagonised him so much when he was a puppy. Time to work, he perked up. He felt accomplished. Chapter 8. The warmer weather brought along fun activities in the neighbourhood, and one of the most popular events was the library showing the film Coco in their parking lot. Mrs. V thought it would be great to take JJ to watch it. Lately he was feeling overwhelmed with adapting to new classmates, teachers and his aide, so it was comforting to see him excited to see a movie outdoors for the first time. Pretty cool. Across the street, Frijolito watched the commotion from the alley. A large screen had gone up to project the film. Families filled the seats in the parking lot. I wish that I had my own family, Frijolito hoped. Coincidentally, as luck would have it, Mila had started babysitting a toddler in the same neighbourhood where Angel's barbershop was located. She was also on her way to take the child to the playground and then to watch the movie. The sun brightened every corner of the town on this beautiful spring afternoon. Angel, noticing the crowd that had shown up for the movie event, thought it would be a good opportunity for his business and seized the moment. Today's deal can't be beat. Adult haircut and shave for $30. Kids haircut, $10. The promotion worked as a few moviegoers that had arrived early went in. Meanwhile, in the backyard, Frijolito was restless. He could not take his eyes off the crowd outside. Maybe today is the day. He became uneasy, as if he knew something was about to happen. His share of fish sat untouched by his side. Yes, he had a sweet deal, but Valentino hadn't kept his word, and Angel wasn't happy. Frijolito wanted to join the children playing in the park and peeked out through the fence. There he saw a girl who looked like Mila, walked like Mila, and smiled like Mila. With a wag of his tail, he let out 3 excited woofs when he thought she was coming his way, pushing a child in a stroller. She's coming for me, he thought, and couldn't contain his happiness as he ran to the front of the barbershop, eagerly waiting for a chance to get out. Just as a new customer made his entrance, Frijolito saw the perfect opportunity and seized it, dashing away. "What are you doing, Frijolito? Get back inside, you crazy dog!" Angel yelled, trying to control the situation and noticing the concerned faces of his customers. But Frijolito had only one thing on his mind: get to Mila. And then everything after that happened in a flash. That same day, in the morning, JJ had told Mrs. V that he dreamt about his dog again last night and believed that his dog was waiting for him. Mrs. V was puzzled and asked, "What are you saying? Which dog?" She was surprised at the coincidence because she had not mentioned the flyer she had found. JJ continued, sharing that he kept seeing this dog in his dreams, and the dog looked sad. "He needs help, Mum," JJ said. Mrs. V thought about JJ's dream, which was playing on repeat. Then she reassured him, "Once school is over, we will get one, I promise." Still not entirely convinced, JJ took out his cell phone and uploaded a short video on his YouTube channel. "Hi guys, do any of you have a dog? Share pics below. I'd like to have a dog, but I don't have one yet." He spoke to his phone's camera, seeking comfort from his online friends. After he finished, JJ said, "All right, Mum, we can go now." Mrs. V tried to cheer him up, saying, "Cheer up, honey, we'll find you a dog soon." How soon? She could see how badly JJ longed for a furry friend, and she was determined to make his dream of having a dog come true. "Soon enough. Now let's go to the park before it gets too crowded." At the park, JJ pointed out to his mother that there were 2 empty swings available. Mrs. V then cautioned the older kids, who were riding their bikes, scooters and skateboards haphazardly nearby, to be careful with the younger children. She held on to JJ's scooter and his sports bag with his basketball as he ran to the swing. "Hurry up, Mum, come and push me," JJ called out excitedly. "Sure," she said, and then asked, "Hey, why did we bring all these things with us?" "I had to, Mum, but come push me," JJ replied, eager to start swinging. That was the moment of magic. Right before his eyes, Frijolito appeared, running happily towards Mila, who was approaching, pushing the stroller on the sidewalk across the street, when she realised what was happening. "Mum, stop, look, I found him!" JJ jumped off the swing and bolted towards the street before she could grab him. "JJ, no, stop! Someone please stop him!" Mrs. V shouted frantically, running as fast as she could to catch up with her son. A cyclist was coming fast down the street on a bike, with enough time to brake as the traffic light changed suddenly. Then a loud thump. As Frijolito caught a glimpse of Mila, his excitement grew, but he also noticed a young boy running in his direction, not paying attention to the traffic. "No, kids, stop!" Ethan, the cyclist, called out urgently as he tried to halt the collision. In a desperate attempt to avoid the accident, he put his feet hard on the ground, but his efforts were in vain. To his horror, Frijolito's paw got mangled up and caught in the bike's chain. "I'm so sorry, buddy," Ethan said, looking down at the injured dog with regret. Next to him, the boy was on his knees, thankfully unhurt, but hugging Frijolito with a joyous expression. "Hi, my friend, it's me, JJ. I have seen you in my dreams, and now you're real. Everything is going to be all right, right, Mum?" JJ asked, turning to Mrs. V with hope in his eyes. "He's going to be fine, baby," Mrs. V said, catching up her breath and hugging JJ tightly, aware of the miracle she had witnessed. At that precise moment, Mila joined the scene, her face illuminated with a mixture of joy and surprise. "Frijolito, is that you, buddy?" she asked in disbelief as tears came streaming down her cheeks. "Mila, am I dreaming? JJ, why is my paw on fire?" Frijolito mustered a soft woof woof. "Whose dog is this?" Ethan asked. "Hi, I had let the stray dog stay in my barber shop for a few days, but no one claimed it," Angel said as he joined the scene. "I know this dog," Mila replied. "His previous owner had to give him up due to her illness. And I couldn't find him a home in time. He escaped from the shelter I'd handed him over to." Wait, are you Mila who put up flyers in the playground?" Mrs. V asked with wide open eyes. "Yes, ma'am, that's me. I called and texted you at the number on the flyer, but I never heard back from you." "Oh, right, my apologies for that. By that time, I'd already put Frijolito in the shelter. When I got your message, I tried to get him back so you could meet him, but he'd already run away." "Mum, this is the dog of my dreams. He's the one that appears over and over. Can we keep him, please?" JJ pleaded. "Oh, I'm not sure about that. The gentleman here says he lives in his barber shop and..." Oh no, by all means, they're destined to be together. Of course JJ can keep him." JJ hugged Frijolito, who sighed and groaned while licking his new owner's face. "That's very kind of you, Mr. Angel. Angel is my name." "Thank you, Angel, and yes, JJ will keep it, but first we must take him to the vet." "My friend Maria is a vet. She's a few blocks from here," said Ethan, as he moved his bike to the side of the road and picked Frijolito up. The crowd dispersed, relieved that everyone, including the dog, was okay. They walked 2 blocks to the vet. "This dog just has a bruised paw. We'll bandage up and he will be fine. Bring him back in a couple of weeks for a follow-up." Ethan offered to pay the bill, but his friend declined after hearing Frijolito's incredible story. Mila stood in awe at how everything had come full circle. Frijolito had been around all along. Unbelievable. It was fate, and he was meant to travel from the Dominican Republic to become JJ's companion. She was glad to have contributed, even if not in a straight path, towards this happy ending. Her heart was full and no longer heavy with regrets. They parted ways. A couple of weeks later, Mrs. V threw a welcome party for the dog that saved her son's life. They decided to honour his name and not change it. "Kids, come on down, our guests are here," she called out. Frijolito, now officially part of the family, limped down the stairs with JJ following closely. It was obvious that caring for his new pet brought JJ calmer days. The family planned to enrol him and Frijolito in a training program to become JJ's guiding dog. "You're my best friend, Frijolito. I love you so much," said JJ, reaching for his new pet for a tender hug. "Woof woof, and you're mine, JJ," Frijolito barked as he licked JJ's face. The backyard bustled with family and friends celebrating life and second chances. "This dog has 9 lives," said Fina to Shai at the party. Mila had bought the pets to celebrate Frijolito's new home and family. "He's no cat though," replied Shai, looking on unimpressed. "But he eats fish like most cats," rebutted Fina, wings spread out, getting ready to entertain the crowd. "Guys, check this out! I have a dog now! Meet Frijolito," JJ posted. "Woof woof, what's up, gang?" Frijolito got up on JJ's shoulder and looked right into the camera. "I love you, Frijolito," said JJ as he took their first selfie and shared via text on a group chat with his friends. He captioned the pic, "Frijolito and JJ, best friends forever. Peace out, Trout."
That was such a great story. I loved hearing about Frijolito and JJ, and I'm so glad that they got together. Now, let's hear what a kid that's your age thought about this story as well. Here's a kid's review.
Hi!
Hi!
What did we read over the last week? Because it was not just today.
JJ and Frijolito.
That's right, JJ and Frijolito. And what does Frijolito mean?
Beans.
Little bean. So, what did you think about this book?
I really liked it.
Mm-hmm.
Can you see my favorite part?
Yes, we do want to see your favorite part. Say it's got some pictures in it.
Right there. With the little bunny lamp.
I didn't even notice that, but you noticed it right away.
Not right away.
Because you love beans.
Bunnies.
Bunnies? You love bunnies?
Yeah.
Still?
Yeah.
So why don't you tell them a little bit about what the story's about?
It's mostly about the dog and JJ. It mostly takes part of both of them kind of changing.
Mm-hmm. It shows it from both points of view.
Yeah. So, Frijolito the dog had this little shelter thing. Then he escaped and he went a long way. Then in the end, he found the boy that took care of him and really liked him.
Yeah. Frijolito went a really long way, to find him.
Yeah.
But it's nice that he found a home.
Yeah.
So what else did you like about the book? You want to show any other parts that you like? Oh, yeah. What's happening there? You want to tell them?
A shot in the butt.
So when you get older, do you think you'll have pets?
Maybe a bunny.
Mm-hmm. But you don't want a dog or a cat or a bird?
Nah, I don't really want a cat. It mostly just stays outside.
Cats can come inside.
They can, but they mostly stay outside. Close by us, we see this cat all the time.
Oh, yeah, that cat does stay outside. Yep. Okay, anything else we should talk about this book?
Something else I kind of like at the end. The dog's kind of cute.
It is cute, huh?
It's just like that, and everybody's commenting. He's adorable.
Okay, let's hold the book up.
Can we say the author actually really likes all of the reviews and stuff?
She does, yes. The author is very sweet, and she likes to support us on our channel. So we're supporting her back. Yay!
What sport does he play? Basketball?
Basketball. He likes basketball. So don't forget to send in your questions. You can send in a video, a picture, or just text. We just need your name and your age. That way we can put it on the screen so everybody can see who the question was from. We'd love to hear your questions.
And have the author answer them.
Bye!
Bye! Thanks for watching.